Derby County have been linked to the signing of former Norwich City goalkeeper Angus Gunn, and he is on the radar of a ton of other Championship clubs, most notably by the names of Blackburn Rovers, West Brom and Stoke. Now, Angus Gunn is a 29-year-old goalkeeper who is set to leave Norwich City at the end of this current season. He's been capped by Scotland on 15 different occasions, and he's valued at around €2.5 million. Now, obviously, in the goalkeeper position for Derby County, they are pretty stacked. When you look at, obviously, Josh Vickers, you look at Jakob Vidal-Zetterstrom, there's some really good options in that first team department. Now, obviously, Derby County are getting rid of getting rid of Rohan Luthra, which obviously opens the door for a third choice goalkeeper role, but I don't believe Angus Gunn would want to play in that role. Now, for me, when Derby County are looking at this move, you've got to look at what is the circumstance regarding Josh Vickers heading into next season, and what is the injury status of Jakob Vidal-Zetterstrom. We know that he missed the final few weeks of the season with a facial injury that he sustained in the game, I think it was against Portsmouth, which obviously ruled him out for the rest of the season. We know that Josh Vickers has worked with, obviously, Paul Warne and Richie Barker, Andy Warrington and Matt Hamshaw, which opens the door for potential moves to MK Dons and Rotherham if fees are obviously agreed. Now, for me, does Josh Vickers want to be a number 3 goalkeeper? Because that's what would happen if Angus Gunn was to join Derby County. And in my opinion, I don't believe that Vickers would want to play in that role. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Angus Gunn. This season, 35 appearances, 1 yellow card, 42 goals conceded, 8 clean sheets and 3,105 minutes. Now, I believe that Zetterstrom has been and will be a better goalkeeper than Angus Gunn in the long run. Does that mean that Angus Gunn can't be a decent backup for Derby County? Absolutely not. I think Angus Gunn would be a brilliant backup, a very experienced Championship goalkeeper who I believe has played in the Premier League for, I think it was about a season, which in my opinion sort of shows the experience and the talent that he has underneath him. But do I believe he's a player that Derby County really need to go out and get? Now, for me, the only reason this deal would make sense for Derby County to make the move is for if Josh Vickers was to move on, in my opinion. I think the third choice goalkeeper role will be filled by someone of the likes of Harry Evans, Jack Thompson, Harley Price, and one of those academy goalkeepers, in my opinion. I can't see either Angus Gunn, Zetterstrom or Vickers being happy to play sort of third fiddle to the first team, in my opinion, and especially with the careers that they've had and obviously the displays Josh Vickers put on at the back end of the Championship season. He's shown he's more than capable of competing at this level as a number 1 goalkeeper, let alone as a number 2. So I just think when you're looking at these goalkeepers and you're looking at what Derby County already have, I just don't think there's much sense in the fact of obviously bringing in Angus Gunn without one of the 2 goalkeepers that we already have leaving. So in that respect, do I believe this move is going to happen? Personally, the answer for me is no. I think it's probably a decent link. I'm not going to turn that down. But I think when you look at the likes of Blackburn, West Brom and Stoke, I can't see him going to Stoke because he'd have to sort of play second fiddle to Victor Johansson unless he moves on. At West Brom, I believe Joe Wildsmith could potentially be on his way out the door, which opens the door for him to be sort of one of the key goalkeepers there. And obviously at Blackburn Rovers, I'm not entirely sure of the goalkeeper situation there, if I am completely honest. But he does have that pedigree of playing in the Premier League. He does have the pedigree of playing at Manchester City in the youth ages. Obviously, then spending time at Stoke, Norwich, and Southampton as well. And I just think that it's one of those moves that for Derby County doesn't really make a great deal of sense. Now, would he be Derby's number 1 option? In my opinion, no. You don't spend nearly £2 million on a goalkeeper in Zetterstrom to bring in someone like Angus Gunn and have Zetterstrom play second fiddle. So it's just a really difficult one to discuss, if I'm completely honest with you, because I just don't think there's any sort of real basis behind the move. I'm not saying that obviously he isn't a good goalkeeper. I'm not saying that he couldn't be better than Zetterstrom. I'm not saying that he couldn't be better than Vickers. And realistically, it's just one of those where I just can't see the move making sense unless Vickers moves on. And because realistically, would he play second fiddle to Zetterstrom and potentially earn his chance? I think he would. I think he would potentially do that because we saw Zetterstrom pick up an injury this season, which opens up that door for the conversation of him to get opportunities to play. Now, if we do look at Angus Gunn's full history, it does include the Under-21s Premier League and the UEFA Youth League. He's made 276 appearances, conceding 374 goals and 73 clean sheets in 24,781 minutes. It is a difficult conversation, this one. It's really hard to sort of judge what the right move would be. Obviously, has been part of the Scottish international setup, which I know isn't sort of the greatest international setup, but he has been a part of the internationals. I think if we look at his history as an international, has he played at any of the major competitions, which could obviously be sort of a conversation topic? I'm not entirely sure, but it's one of those for me where I can't see this move making much sense, if I'm completely honest. Like, that is my personal opinion. I can't see it making much sense because why would we sign a goalkeeper who's 29 years old when we've already got Josh Vickers? How old's Josh Vickers? What's he? 29? Maybe 30, maybe. How old is Josh Vickers? Let's take a look at the two goalkeepers Derby County have. Josh Vickers is 29 years of age as well. Jakob Vidal-Zetterstrom, I think, is 26. So we don't really, in that aspect, need a goalkeeper. It's not like one of them's going to retire anytime soon. Realistically, the only move which really makes sense is if he was to come in as a third choice. And I can't see Angus Gunn being third choice, as I've said before in this video. I can't see Josh Vickers being third choice. And obviously, with Zetterstrom, I can't see him being third choice either. So, realistically, the conversation is more about why would this move happen? Because, in my opinion, I just don't think it would. It doesn't really make a great deal of sense in regards to the depth chart. Doesn't make any sense in regards to those younger keepers coming up. Now, has Angus Gunn worked with Paul Clements in the past? Maybe. I don't know where they may have crossed over, if I'm completely honest. But could he have played with Paul Clements? Potentially. Where's Clements been? He's been at Stoke, Norwich. Yeah, so maybe at Norwich they crossed over. So it is interesting. That could be purely a discussion based on knowing sort of someone you've worked with before, maybe Josh Vickers, maybe potentially wanting out. That really is the only way where this move really makes much sense for Derby County, and it is that of Josh Vickers moving out or expecting a big bid for Jakob Vidal-Zetterstrom, which in my opinion I don't necessarily think we're going to get. So obviously it's a very interesting one. You can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you have not done so already, you need to let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Make sure you check out the videos regarding Danny Bath and Andreas Weimann that have been released this week as well. And I'll catch you in the next one.